So I'm pretty lazy. Wait a minute, efficient. So I need another lure to fish with. I have my fiddle fin, but I wanted a lipless crankbait. It's kind of my go-to, throw it anywhere at any time. Sometimes I call it the angry spoon. You know, it's very, very versatile. And I stumbled upon Retro Basson's video on the Pico Perch, which is a classic Texas lure developed down in Corpus Christi, widely believed to be the first lipless crankbait ever. And I thought, hey, I need me one of them. But the problem is, I don't really like painting that much. I got an airbrush, haven't even taken it out of the box yet. And that would take like 20 minutes of time. Why don't I go down a rabbit hole of mica infusing 3D printed resin? That sounds better. So I copped this idea from two other 3D printing legends. Thomas Sandlander. Sorry, Thomas, I'm sure I butchered your name. It's probably even Tomas, you're German. Sorry, bro. And good old Uncle Jesse. Uncle Jesse did a video on adding colors to 3D resins, and Thomas did a video on mica. So I knew this was possible, and I was really inspired because that's how I make my soft plastic lures. Little color, little mica, maybe a little glitter, but it seemed to be perfect. I just add it all into the resin, hit print, I get a kick-ass lure, right? Not so much. That's mica in Plastisol, the things we make soft plastic lures out of. That's the look I want. Swirly, kind of all over the place, like super cool looking. Now, when I was watching Thomas's video, I noticed he was not getting that effect with his mica. It seemed to only like shine from one angle. I figured, you know, Thomas has only been doing this for like 500 years. I just started, I'm sure I can do better. So let's talk about the base here. I'm using Soriatec Blue Clear Resin. So I have basically an open palette, just like clear Plastisol. So I'm gonna be printing my Pico Perch lure. I've specifically designed this lure for 3D printing. We'll have a follow-up video on this exact design because after I spent 2 weeks with this mica mess, I don't even have a working lure yet. But it's a great example of what you would wanna do with like a hard plastic bait in 3D printing. If you're finding this useful, set the hook on the like button. All right, so I started off with clear resin and this copper mica powder. Unlike Thomas, I just threw it right into the vat and started stirring. That was stupid. A couple of hours later, boom, out pops this print. And it's not looking like I expected at all. Here's the interesting thing. The bill that I printed flat on the build plate has this cool shiny effect. The body is very, very dull, but along the spine, top and bottom, I get this really cool reflected effect. That's really odd. So I keep going, I'm mixing up copper. I decided, hey, maybe some interference blue. That's a really cool color I like. Gives you kind of this translucent blue effect. Throw that in there. Same thing, I get the blue on the bill and the backs, but not anywhere else. What's going on here? Why is my voice cracking like a teenager? Then I think, hey, maybe some really cool Hypershift dip your color blue stuff. Let's see what that does. And boom, that is pretty darn sick. Comes out bright blue with these gold kind of highlights on the back and the bottom. Now we're getting somewhere. Now I decided to add some color. And this really doesn't do much other than obviously color the resin. Doesn't really impact the effect at all. But it's pretty cool because now I'm pretty much in Plastisol territory. My voice is still cracking, but I can add colors and powders to really produce any color I want to. And that's pretty sick. The one thing you'll see though is I'm still getting relatively translucent effects. You gotta add a crap ton of mica to get it kind of solid. It's still pretty cool though. Here are my two favorites so far. The blue Hypershift is killer. And then I have this kind of purple chrome Hypershift. All the links to the micas I used are in the description, but what I found is the color shift micas produce both colors. If you use a single color mica, you get a shiny version of that and a dull version of that. And here is what I think is happening. The way 3D resin printers work is you have the resin down here, the build plate comes down and smushes at a layer height of 0.05 millimeters, 50 nanometers. Mica is a flake. At least I think it's a flake. Do we have any mica engineers? Leave a comment below, Mica engineers. So what I think is happening is the flake is getting compressed, and then whichever side is heaviest is going to the bottom of the build plate, or maybe the top. I don't know. So if you have a single color mica that has one reflective side and one dull side, it's just stacking dull on dull or shiny on shiny, and you're only seeing it along the axis of the build plate. Pretty interesting. I kind of confirmed this with printing a couple of other models with different orientations on the build plate, and the colors seem to follow the axis on the build plate. Pretty cool. Got a couple of ideas on how to get that kind of swirly, shimmery effect on the lure, just not inside the 3D printer. That video is right here. If you want to have links to Thomas's video, Uncle Jesse's video, and that killer retro bassin video, they're all in the description below. Take care, everybody. Tight lines.